There is a place on Earth that defies the very logic of geography. A landscape that feels like a glitch in the simulation of our planet. From the horizon, it appears to be a cruel and infinite expanse of nothingness, a blinding white Sahara, a wasteland of heat and dust where life should not exist. But as you move closer, the mirage does not vanish. It deepens, it solidifies, it turns into something that your eyes struggle to comprehend. Here, in the remote northeast of Brazil, the desert is drowning. This is not a hallucination, this is Lençóis Maranhenses, a sweeping expanse of 1,500 square kilometers of pure white quartz sand, rolling like a frozen ocean. But tucked within the valleys of these massive dunes are thousands upon thousands of crystal-clear lagoons. They are painted in colors that seem synthetic: electric turquoise, deep emerald, piercing aquamarine. It is a paradox on a geological scale, a desert that receives more rain than some rainforests, a wilderness that looks like the surface of another planet, yet teems with a secret, impossible life. To understand this place, you must first understand the silence. It is a heavy, physical weight. There are no roads here, no engines, no hum of electricity, only the sound of the Atlantic wind hissing as it carves the sand into shapes that will not exist tomorrow. The dunes are restless giants. They are constantly moving, marching inland at the pace of a slow breath, swallowing everything in their path, erasing history, burying the vegetation and rewriting the map of the world every single day. The sand itself is an ancient traveler. These grains were not born here. They were carried by rivers from the heart of the continent, ground down over millennia, pushed into the ocean, and then violently thrown back onto the shore by the currents. The wind took over from there, whipping the crystals until they were polished into a blinding white dust, sculpting them into perfect, sensual curves that mimic the bedsheets of a sleeping god. But the true miracle lies in the spaces between. When the torrential rains of the wet season arrive, the sky opens up with a violence that shakes the ground. The water does not drain away. Beneath this vast sandbox lies a layer of impermeable rock, a subterranean shield that holds the rain hostage. And so, the valleys fill. The desert becomes a drowned world. The water is fresh, warm, and filtered to a level of clarity that rivals the most pristine springs on Earth. You can swim over the white floor of a lagoon, looking down through 10 feet of water so clear that you feel as though you are floating in the air. And in these temporary oceans, life performs its greatest magic trick. Gazing into a pool that did not exist 3 months ago, you see a flash of silver. A wolffish darts through the shallows. This should not be possible. This pool is an island of water surrounded by burning sand, cut off from any river or sea. How does a fish exist in a lake that disappears every year? The answer lies in the mud. When the sun returns and the water evaporates, the wolf fish does not die. It burrows deep into the wet earth. It slows its heart. It enters a state of suspended animation, a biological coma waiting in the darkness of the dry season. It sleeps while the camels of the wind walk over its head. And when the rains return, it wakes, resurrecting from the earth to swim in a lake that has been reborn. It is a cycle of life and death that plays out in a theater of extreme beauty. Walking the crest of a dune at sunset feels like walking on the spine of a sleeping dragon. The light here changes the physics of the landscape. At noon, the sun is a hammer, bleaching the world into 2 colors, white and blue. It is harsh, exposing, and almost violent in its brightness, but as the sun dips low, the shadows lengthen. The white sand turns gold, then violet, then a bruised shade of purple. The texture of the dunes reveals itself, millions of tiny ripples, the fingerprints of the wind. The isolation is total. You can walk for days and see no other human footprint. It creates a sense of scale that is both terrifying and liberating. you are a microscopic speck in a sea of silica. To the west, the dunes crash into the dense green wall of the mangroves, a violent collision between the arid and the lush. Here, scarlet ibises fly like streaks of blood against the white canvas, their feathers shocking in their vibrancy. They scream and dive, hunting crabs in the chaotic borderland where the sand meets the swamp. But move inward, into the heart of the sheet, and the biology becomes microscopic. The lagoons are not sterile, they are blooming with algae, with tiny crustaceans, with the larvae of insects that have mere weeks to complete their life cycles before their world dries up. It is a race against the sun. Every creature here is living on borrowed time. The water level drops by a fraction of an inch every day. The evaporation is invisible but constant, a slow-motion draining of the lifeblood of the desert. There is a melancholic beauty to this impermanence. You are witnessing a landscape that is dying and being born simultaneously. The lagoon you stand before today will be a dry, cracked hollow in 6 months. The dune you climb to get here will have moved 10 meters to the south. Nothing here is allowed to stagnate. The geology is fluid. It teaches a brutal lesson about the nature of existence, that stability is an illusion and the only truth is change. As night falls, the temperature plummets. The sand releases the heat of the day and the air becomes crisp and cold. The sky above Lençóis Maranhenses is a window into the cosmos. With zero light pollution, the Milky Way looks like a rift in the atmosphere, a cloud of diamond dust mirroring the white sand below. The lagoons turn into black mirrors, reflecting the Southern Cross. Standing here in the dark, with the wind cooling your skin, you feel the alien nature of this planet. It feels like Mars before the atmosphere vanished. It feels like the beginning of the world. This is the architecture of the impossible. A place where the desert drinks the rain. A place where fish sleep in the dust. A place where the horizon line is a lie, constantly shifting, constantly deceiving. Most of the world is mapped, paved, and conquered. We have filled the blank spaces with cities and data, but here, the wind erases our presence. If you leave a footprint in the sand, it will be gone within the hour. The dunes do not remember you, they do not care for your observation. They answer only to the wind and the rain. In a world that is becoming increasingly uniform, increasingly tamed, the white desert remains wild. It is a sanctuary of harshness and grace. It reminds us that nature is not merely a backdrop for human activity, but a living, breathing, violent force capable of creating art that we can barely comprehend. This is the earth in its most raw, most imaginative form, a dreamscape made of quartz and water, a fleeting masterpiece that demands you look at it now before the wind blows it all away.